one of the ways that brands tell stories most often today is in social media, because that's one of the ways that brands connect with consumers. Of the four types of stories, again, value, founder, purpose, customer, are any of those, in your estimation, more suited for a social media environment?
Yeah, I would definitely say that the value story is the value story number one, and then number two would be the founder story for social media. Well, no, and then customer stories. So purpose stories are more geared towards internal leadership, aligning your teams, building morale, motivating people around a particular topic. But in terms of outward communication, particularly on social media, you'll be focusing on value stories, which there's all different kinds of value. There's all different stories you can tell there. The founder story of really how it all got started. Now, of course, with any founding of any company, there are many stops along that journey. So you have lots of options there. And then customer stories, which are the stories of the people who love, buy, support what you're doing.
Kindra, as you know, because you've been doing a lot of promotion around the book, and just to remind everybody, Kindra Hall's amazing new book, Stories That Stick, available now in all the places and ways that books can be procured, including audiobook read by Kindra herself, Kindle, all those kind of things. Increasingly in social media, as you know, more and more of the content is visual, right? Whether it's photos and or videos. Do you find that to be innately or inherently better for storytelling, or worse?
I think it's better. I think there is that, there's the age-old phrase that a picture is worth 1,000 words, and it's true. Like sometimes just posting a beautiful picture and say, on a Friday saying cruising into the weekend like this will get you plenty of likes and engagements, etc. However, I think there's also then that opportunity when so much of it is visual. A lot of times you have these beautiful images. It gives you a perfect opportunity to not only have the beautiful image, but then tell a story. And it can be directly related to the visual. It can be tangentially related to the visual. It can be not at all really related to the visual, but that first line triggers the reader, the viewer, to say, there's going to be a story here. And so we need to be constantly creating visual content, which then of course is the perfect opportunity for you to be adding the stories that are already there to those images.
Are there any other kind of story starters, for lack of a better term, that social media practitioners, marketers, communicators can use to help facilitate getting and extracting those great stories out of their customers?
Yeah, definitely. So one of the key ones that you can refer back to is, when was the first time you tried our product? What do you remember about that moment, right? Because when you think about the products that you love, oftentimes we think about the first time. Like I just experienced this great nail product, and I remember the first time they put it. It's nail polish, but you can just stick it on to your. It's incredible. And I remember the first time I was at an event, and they were like, "Oh, here, try this," because I hadn't gotten a chance to put my nail polish on, and they just stuck it on my finger, and it was done. It was done in 2 seconds and it was not $60 in 2 hours of my time at the nail salon. And I looked down at my fingers, and I finally felt like I didn't have to be embarrassed of my fingers anymore. It was like the first time that I had used that product, and it was such a simple thing, but it had a huge impact on me. So going back, you can ask them about the first time they tried it, or what inspired you to give this product a try. What were you, and I mentioned that, what were you struggling with before? But the better you are at directing them to a particular moment in time, the better quality answers you'll be getting. If you say, "Oh, what do you love about our product?" They'll say, "Oh, I love this, this, and this." And it'll be very general. But if your questions are directing them to specific moments and experiences in time, you'll get higher quality answers, which then become the story.
How do you know that the story is working?
Oh, that That is a great question. How do you know that the story is working? Well, number one, particularly as we're talking here about value stories, they will result in sales. Like people will buy. So for example, I do a lot of keynote speaking, and in all of my keynotes, I play this before and after video of a brand. The before video is when they thought they were telling a story. It was via video. And the after video is what happens when they actually do tell a story. And the difference is profound. It's shocking, really, that story was there all along, and she didn't tell it. It was such a missed opportunity. Now, what has happened over time is that I play that video, and she can tell when I'm speaking, because then people go, I'm not encouraging, I'm not telling them to go buy her product, but she gets sales every time. And often what happens is not only does she get orders online, but they also come, like in the comments, there's entire paragraphs there of people wanting to share their story. So, which leads me into number two. So number one, how you know if your value stories are working is if people are buying it. And we do buy stories. Never underestimate that. We buy stories. But number two, you can tell that the story is working when others start sharing their story too. So somebody buys this item after watching this video, and they can't help themselves but to share their story back. And that is, I had a mentor of mine once say, and this was in this is in connection to dating, but it was also a storytelling advice. He said, you can tell when you go to meet your boyfriend's parents, you can tell it's going well if you tell a story and they start telling stories back. Like if you get on this storytelling cycle where you share a story and they share a story, and then you share a story and they share a story, not only are they feeling more willing to open up to you, which is what brands need. They want people to feel connected enough to share their stories with you. But then you also get this breadth and depth of understanding of who each other is and what they want. So I would say that was dating advice, but it's also advice for brands. If you find yourself telling stories, and then in your comments on your Facebook posts, or in the comments or you start getting the direct messages on the Instagram message app, you're doing something right.